Ethos is ethical appeal. In other words, it's how do I convey to my listener that I have authority to speak on this topic. And so I might do that by going over some research, right? Some reliable, credible research. Or maybe what I'll do is I'll talk about, what things I've done before. Like maybe if I myself have contributed in some meaningful way. So like perhaps I've written a paper or a book, or maybe I've been on a talk show, right? But what authority do I have to speak on this topic is important. And also, ethos is also about character. So it's not just authority or credibility built through authority, but also authority or credibility built through ethical or moral character. And so, and what that has to do with is, does this writer, in what ways does this writer build trust with the reader? In their word choice, for example, in the pacing of their discussion, that kind of thing. So if they're using words that are very loaded, they may come across as very biased, right? If they're using coded language, they may come across as very biased. And then that way, they're failing to really develop or appeal to ethos, okay? And so that's ethos. Ethos is moral character. Ethos is also authority, right? So think about what is this writer doing? What's this writer doing to convince me that they are moral? What are they doing to convince me? What moves are they making to convince me they know what they're talking about? They've done their due diligence. What is that? And so look for those moves in the writing, and then when you see them, ask yourself why. Why does this seem ethical? What is it about my values? Right? What is it about what I think, feel, or believe that makes what he or she just said very persuasive to me, right? So if I value, for example, family values, and they're talking on and on about the importance of like moms being able to bond with their children, I'm going to think that's a very ethical person. And it's going to be because I hold the value that children should be able to spend more time with their mothers before they're separated. That 3 months is not sufficient for maternity leave. Do you see what I mean by that? So it's like there's a value in me that writer is connecting to, right? So it's not just what they say or do that makes it ethical. It's because they really understand me, my values, my ideas, my beliefs, my desires, all of those things. Okay? That's ethos.